Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Captain of the Gore Gems of War event, in which the Knight Captain is added to the game, but most importantly, of course, the new legend of Sir Quentin Hadley ended up coming into the game, which is actually viable. I know this video is coming out a little bit late, next week's video will be up definitely on time, but I just want to recap everything from the week, all of the more noteworthy things. First thing right off the bat is that this new troop is useless, and there's basically nothing to use it for. Every single troop that ends up getting this premise of giving a buff up to a single target and then double if there's certain typing with absolutely no board control are all useless, and she's yet another one of those troops. So that is quite unfortunate, but luckily the event troop was not as useless as far as Sir Quentin ends up getting quite a few good utilities on it. For one, it's a standard double convert with 18 mana cost, gets to convert all purple to yellow, so kind of like a mercy, and then all green to skulls, which is a pretty decent combination. It then gets to deal damage to 2 random enemies, and do keep in mind that these 2 random enemies can be the same target, especially if there's only one left. It'll guarantee hit whatever the last target is, so it can double tap, which is noteworthy. Other than that, it has some skull reduction as a skull spammer, which is always nice, and of course its most important thing is that it gives all Knight's allies a 50% mana start, being yet again another 50% start added to the game. Other than that, we mostly just got some Valentine stuff this week, and of course the noteworthy thing of Sword's Edge reaching 18 stars. Like many other kingdom, it is currently tied at the highest amount of stars of any kingdom, so pretty big milestone there with the 2 new troops that ended up coming in. But mostly wanted to use this video to, of course, go over some Sir Quentin teams real quick, as he is pretty noteworthy as of him being added to the game. First one we're going to be doing is a bit of a beast mix-up with him, with a Beastly Bow, Forest Guardian, Sir Quentin, and Fist of Zorn. The bow is a little bit of an old event weapon. You could try doing similar with like a Mountain Crusher tank, and hopefully it would end up working to some similar degree. However, it is one of those kind of things that is built a little bit more around the bow specifically with this one team. So what we're going to be doing here is accumulating as much mana as we possibly can to basically get everything we can to full, ideally, and then we can start casting, and we should be able to do that just by getting the bow up initially, and that's pretty much the main game plan here. So we're going to go take this blue. We are entangled right now, which is another liability that we're going to have to deal with. Of course, team is extremely skull-oriented, and being entangled is not a good thing. So we'll go get our poke, get a little bit of mana in there. Unfortunately, this bow does have a Destroy 3. If you happen to have not leveled it yet, and if you are going to be getting this into the future and actually plan on using it, do not get the Destroy 3 on it. I have no clue why they put Destroy 3 on it, but like many weapons, it makes the weapon worse. Do not get it. I only have it just so we could get everything maxed, but it is definitely worth not having it. So right here, I kind of want to keep everything as is over there, so hopefully he'll keep that as is. I do want to go make sure we deny out his convert here, so we'll go grab that. It does give him some skull. He does end up getting a poke too. That is quite unfortunate, but we did finally get our cleanse, and we have most of the stuff we really need to get rolling, so let's go do that. We do need to go get one more mana off of Quentin. If we could find some kind of way to get that for free, that would be great off this board. I don't immediately see an option for it, though. Luckily, we have it right there. Oh, no, we don't, because it's going to block on yellow. Ooh, that's a bit unfortunate. So what's the better way to go for this first? We'll probably take that down just so we get the surge. Just to get it a little bit closer to max. I feel like we're not going to have a way to get him to full right now, though, which would be the ideal situation. So we'll take that over. That gives us another Forest Guardian, which I actually don't want to cast because I want a little bit of yellow. However, I don't think we're exploding it here. Actually, yes, we are. That will give us yellow right over there. Perfect. And now with Sir Quentin up, we could just go and cast him. Of course, the more noteworthy thing is that he gets to convert all greens to skulls. And after doing that, after a Forest Guardian cast, ends up having some pretty decent synergy. And then we just take our last 2 skulls, and then it dies out. And we end up losing a little bit more than we'd really want to. But yeah, it can go at a pretty decent speed if you end up not getting entangled. We'll go against the Tina here. We'll go with the Guild War version of this next. With this, we're going to be running it mostly with a Wild Queen, of course giving the 50% Knight to Templar. Templar, a really old troop that hasn't really been meta since Paladin. Still not really meta, but of course a lot of Knights do become a little bit more viable as they, of course, have a 50% mana start to be able to use. So right over here, we will grab our yellow. Try getting into Quentin first. This, as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, that you could use a Mountain Crusher. This one actually does go the route of specifically using the Mountain Crusher for it, since the entire team is brown. And even if we're blocking, Mountain Crusher does have the ability to give all allies 2 brown mana, which ends up working out pretty well to feed the things that are completely blocked in those situations that they are. So pretty much every single one of these instances, we're going to be wanting to look to see if we have one of his converts, purple to yellow or from green to skulls. And if we do, we'd most likely want to go and cast it. Before any time we do, we're probably going to want to go for a little bit of armor buff. We can normally grab this 100% for free while still having alignment. Do make sure that you still have alignment, but if nothing else, that allows us to get even more skulls. And then we could either follow up with a Wild Queen, or we can end up going for the Poke. Probably should add you Wild Queen there, but oh well, we could still end up going through. Don't have any other extra turns there. However, I do want to take that brown first, just so we have another cast of him for when we want to go for it. And now is probably a good time to go for Wild Queen if we do not have alignment on him. But actually, I'm going to go for that one Skill Poke first. And then we probably go for the Wild Queen right now. We do have alignment right over there. However, I do want to get a little bit more skulls onto the board before we do. And we'll grab this down, steal a little bit of attack in case we lose our turn. And nice, we did not end up losing it, and then we have enough just to wipe it out. And of course, Wild Queen gives attack right to our first slot and ends up working out pretty decently. And I ran that for Brown Guild War. I forget exactly what it scored, but I don't recall it losing. Actually, I do know what it scored. We ended up using it 3 out of the 5 times, and all 3 of the times it won. However, we did lose when we switched to one other different team. But every single one of the battles we did was pretty nice. Templar is not really something you would think of being particularly strong, but its convert works really nicely for this team. And the fact that it has a +1 into itself while starting with half mana, it actually works good for once. Compared to the fact that he's almost never really used otherwise. And other than that, speaking of things that aren't really used, War. War, prior to this troop coming out, never had a 50% mana start. Well, now it does. While Queen Ysabelle already had one, she can, of course, now use it with Knight synergies, which is what she does better with. Even though she has a human bonus, more often than not, most of the teams she tends to get used with are Knight-based, mostly because a lot of things within Sword's Edge, and a lot of the better troops are more towards Knights than compared to humans. Humans have like a really wide mix of everything, but they don't have any like particularly noteworthy troops, except for maybe like Tesla and a few like exceptions here or there, but they don't really have much synergy together, whereas most Knights do have decent synergy, and Sir Quentin can kind of just be that connecting troop to put them all together. In this particular case, we're going to be actually running Knight Hero class. Gasp. It's actually the worst hero class in the game. However, of course, it still gets half mana start by being a Knight. It is also still the only hero class that is a Knight ever since Death Knight was switched to Undead a little while back. But basic premise with this is we're going to want to rush Mirror of Reflection, or Reflection of Good, I mean. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we'll be able to rush it based on this board. So second best bet is rush pretty much anything but War. But again, with this board, it almost looks like we have nothing but to give him mana. So we'll take a Skull for now. And of course, we just cascade random mana when we're not even trying to take it. So right here, if we have the kill, we'll go for the kill. This will get burn, and then we can just start following up with additional damage. I'm not sure if that's enough damage at the moment, though. That is, what, 107? And you have a durability of... You don't have any spell reduction, right? No, you're using War Priest. War Priest doesn't have spell reduction. So yeah, that will be enough to kill. It's actually 2 more than enough. So we'll go for that, get our burn, get our automatic extra turn, and ideally have a follow-up, which we do not. He's going to drain us then. So it'd make the most amount of sense to grab a yellow here, because we're going to want to go and fill up the one that's not going to get mana drained here. And hopefully we'll have something to be able to do with him. I don't believe we do. We have the purple to yellow. Which will feed back into himself, which is pretty nice. He is one of them, kind of like Divine Ysabelle, that can feed his mana back to himself. So that is a pretty nice feature that he does have. Has a similar benefit overall of what she's capable of doing. But we'll go grab... Oh, oops. We actually needed a green there. Need to try getting Queen Ysabelle up. So it looks like we're not going to have too many options at this current point, just because of that mana drain. And the fact that I don't think we've had a single purple this entire battle. Which, of course, is one of the things that we can end up using, the mirror, to go and get things rolling a bit. Well, it's one to be unlucky to us this time around. I want to try aligning this off a Cascade. It looks like we were almost going to get that. That was a purple instead. Oh, well. We could get that little bit of thing right over there, mana. It's not really worth it, so we're just going to grab that green. He's going to go and get his enchants up, which shouldn't be too big a deal. Of course, we got a Glory Gnome in this battle, too, so definitely want to make sure we end up securing that kill at some point here. We do not really have that many good options, though, which is quite disappointing. We have that one over there. I want to try, like, aligning something else next to it. I guess we'll do that just for the sake of hopefully getting it. Unfortunately, we do not. Still don't have the green we need either to go and fill that up. Oh, yes, we do, actually. We can grab that off a Cascade. That will give us full mana, and now we can finally get this team rolling. Gosh, only problem now is the mana drain is going to be pressing us, and I don't think we have a way around it. One thing, of course, that we can end up doing is buffing up our first slot with an attack buff, which I think at this point we actually are going to do. Unless we have alignment here, which we do, so we'll go for that. Get our alignment poke. Make sure this thing dies before it gets another annoying mana drain on us, which is always good to do. Take a little bit of yellows here, just get all of our mana back to full, and should be almost good to go. We can go and poke it one more time, which will bring that into kill range, and then we could just go and kill it before it gets to do anything else. Do a nice attack buff, and we should pretty much be in the clear. Oh, that was enough damage? Spell reduction! Always forget to calculate spell reduction. But now we'll easily be able to kill it with this. This will give us the mana for that, and then we should hopefully have alignment to kill, which we do not, because there's not enough green because we already removed it. So with that being said, can we finally get Mirror of Good up? That'd be great. Kind of need it right about now. Doesn't seem like we have too many options for her, so we'll just grab that brown mana. Can get a pretty beefy poke out of that. Still want to get that Mirror. We can get Enrage and other useful benefits, of course, to our war by doing that. Still not much of a board. I guess we could go for the extra turn here just because it feeds most of his mana back anyways. Hopefully it'll give us a few pokes that we can end up utilizing. And we do have the Skull Poke. Probably want to go for that. We can end up getting a little bit of mana off of that. We can't really cascade anything there, and there's a good benefit he's actually going to get something. So given that, well, I do want the yellow, so we are going to go for that. That gives us all the mana we need to go and get the other Quentin down. Don't you dare escape this battle. No, it shouldn't, because we can just kill it right now with the war. And easily just kill it out, and that is that. But anyways, that is pretty much Quentin. Is he, like, exceptionally meta? No, but he's definitely going to find his way into teams. He's definitely above average, and he's something to consider going into the future. A lot of decent knights in the game. As far as the full list, which I didn't actually show, here is every single knight in the game. If we go under the category of knights, and if you don't already own everything, click show all, and I'll bring everything up. And there are some viable ones out there. Both the two mythics from the kingdom itself aren't really that good, but a few things that can get some pretty decent value are like Guard's Avatar, which is something not used too often. Used to have 50% mana start, which it doesn't anymore because Divine Shpala got to 40%. However, you can now use Quentin for it to get it back to 50% again. It's kind of like a Rowain, except a little bit less consistent, oddly enough, even though it's mythic. So that's one of the better things to consider. Earlier on in the game, Knight Coronet, great option, double poke. Even Lady Morana, not necessarily the best of options. However, she does have instant kill, and getting that up a bit quicker can be nice. Other than that, there are a few mana generators to consider, which might end up forming into some various synergies. Mana generators being able to start with half mana is always good to be able to get things rolling a bit. I don't believe that mana ends up working out as well, but it is something to consider. Paladin, while it's not really meta in the current state of the game due to things like Rowain, it is still viable with its +1 yellow and a decent boost ratio of 1-to-1 based on every single armor. Obviously, Queen Ysabelle is one of the more noteworthy ones, being able to give mana to everything. And there's definitely a decent handful. Sir Gawain, double summon into, or up to triple summon with a double gem spawn. Unfortunately, it is a double gem spawn, so it does tend to miss a little bit here and there, but still pretty nice. You probably wouldn't use it for this purpose, but Tagaraki does count as a knight. And of course, he's the strongest bounty hunter troop. He's not really used much outside of bounty, though, even though he theoretically could. And other than that, pretty much any high mana troop in general going forward. War, of course, isn't really considered that good of a troop, but hey, he finally has half mana start. And as more troops come into the game, particularly mythics in that regard, he'll probably start becoming more viable. I think the biggest thing really holding Quentin back at this current moment in time is the fact that there aren't really any outstanding mythic knights. Like, there's some knights that are okay, but nothing that I would say is like over the top. So that's probably the biggest thing at this current moment in time, really holding Quentin back. But definitely keep an eye on it. Has a lot of potential into the future, and will be exciting to see. Always great to see more double converts. Hopefully the meta won't eventually shift to just full-blown double converts, though, because we are starting to get quite a few of them. I think we're already over a dozen, or pretty close to a dozen at this point. Before we only had a handful, and now it feels like we have almost like every single combination. I feel like, obviously we don't, but it feels like they're almost going to try to get every single combination, and that's going to be a lot of them once it finally gets closer to that point. But anyways, guys, that's everything for this video. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye, everyone.